Help them figure what they want out of life. But you know everything it come with a price. Wanna maximize your money and time. Might have to take the uncommon.
So let's go in, man. Let's move over to blue chip or bust. Yeah. So we were talking about, we did the roast in a previous episode, right? But we realized we're not out here. We're not bashing companies unless their marketing is really bad. Then they're a bust. So we will get into that, but there's also there's great stories too. There's great marketing, and we want to highlight all of them. So blue chip or bust is really kind of the business side of it, with marketing and business and things that, different things that companies have done that we want to highlight for you that you can learn from inside your business. Because how do we learn? From other people's mistakes and other people's successes, right? So that's what blue chip and bust is all about.
Yeah, so let's kick this one off. And this one is actually, I think, one of the most successful businesses during the pandemic. Peloton. Man, you saw Peloton everywhere. Everyone wanted Peloton. You're stuck at home. So Peloton was founded in 2012. And a little background on it. So when it was founded, he couldn't find investors to come in and do this with. I think he went over, it was like 400 investors, 400 investors. All of them said no to him. He did like a Kickstart campaign. That got it going from him. And then we saw the growth. 2018 was really when Peloton started like taking off. But the biggest point, right, before we get deep into the story, the biggest whole thing about this story is knowing the necessity of when and where. Because in 2020, Peloton was a huge necessity. 2021, halfway through to 2022, Peloton's necessity fell off because gyms started going back. People started going back into the gyms. But let's get into it here. I got some numbers here that we can jump into real quick, just so we can see the growth, right? So Peloton coming into 2020, Peloton sales increased into the pandemic 66%. That's a huge jump for a company. Their subscription-based model that they have, where it's when you sign up, you can have a Peloton product, a treadmill or bicycle, or you can just have the app on its own. That went up 96%. So just imagine the revenue that they grew in 2020, and what does a company do usually when you're seeing that kind of growth? They overhire, they invest on more equipment, more inventory, and all those things came back and bit them in the butt.
Well, I think a lot of companies do this. We did it internally. When things are cranking, you just start spending money and growing and bringing people in because you see the growth and you're like, all right, we got to hit it as fast as possible. And then there's times where you got to, I don't want to say retract as a company, but you also got to get a little bit smarter in regards to spending. Mm-hmm. And now we are nowhere near the size of Peloton, of a company, but it's small business, big business. Either way, you still have to be conscious of that bottom line and understand that. And understand the waves and see what's coming down the pipeline. So I think what's interesting for them though is, a while back their model was, I don't know that they were really making money on the bikes.
You think it was just straight
I don't
subscription?
think acquisition costs and everything else. They're really a subscription model company, right? Okay. They just have a massive front end lead loss, right? Like loss leader. So loss leader is a product that you sell that doesn't make you money, but on the back end, that you're making money long term, right? And so it's just from what I understood with it a while back, it was a loss leader, but they built their subscription up pretty large.
Yeah, 96% just in 2020, and then I think they have a couple locations, actual physical locations you can go to. I think they have one in New York, I'm pretty sure, but
they put Pelotons in there's a gym they partnered with actually.
Oh, was it? Was it a gym that they partnered with?
What was it? I have to look that up. But there's a gym they partnered with. If we had our Google Master in here, so maybe that's something we need.
Hey, can you look that up?
Gotta get a Google Master in here to Google that, or DuckDuckGo maybe. But so yeah, it's. I believe they have some gyms they partnered with where all their bikes are now in their spin classes.
Oh wow. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Getting creative.
Yeah, and the other thing, right? Marketing. Mm-hmm. So they ran an ad. The ad was considered sexist.
I don't remember this one.
They ran it in 2018 when they ran this ad. So when they ran this ad, right away, people came back, bunch of flashback to them. I think their stock dropped like 9%. It was a 9% hit they hit on just the stock share, mm-hmm. and their market cap dropped. I think it was like a 12% on the market cap just from this ad because apparently the ad was being sexist. I think the ad was a man was bought a Peloton bike for his wife, for his wife, and people
That
and
son of a.
yeah. So the people started finding that sexist, and Peloton came out and they were like, I don't know why people are upset. Like, there's nothing wrong with this. Like, backing it up, and that was in 2018. That was in 2018 when that happened. They had a drop. I mean, of course, pandemic hit. They take off and they do great. They did amazing things and all that. But during that time, I think they were trying to pump up so much inventory. Bigger things happened. A lot of injuries and recalls was coming from Peloton. I don't know if you heard about the guy that I think died on a treadmill or the bike. For Peloton, there was like a big injury, and they had a recall of like, what was it?
Wait a minute, that's a big claim. Like he died because of the Peloton bike. Come on now, we got to get the facts on this.
That's what I read. Yeah, that's what it was. A guy
that
from.
Sounds like some clickbait going on over there.
No, it was a guy from Billions. He was an actor from Billions, apparently.
Oh,
so we'll dig some research on that before. But I'm like 99% sure I saw that he died from
another
that.
moment to need the Googler.
Exactly, but yeah, so they had a lot of recalls on their bicycles and treadmills. Started coming back more and more. I mean, that's right there. That's your number one hit, right? They had this big upgrow, but they couldn't keep up with it, right? So they were just trying to pump, and it looks like there was a lot of technology issues when you're having such a huge growth that wasn't being caught before it went out.
Yeah, before they're shipping it out on the tech side.
Exactly.
So I think I want to take a step back. You mentioned something how they stuck to their marketing ad campaign and were like, no, there's nothing wrong with this. And I think I think that's important, right? Because as a company, as you run marketing campaigns, if you think them through, in today's cancel culture stuff that happens, right? Like you may like a husband buying a wife a Peloton is by far not a very odd thing.
It's a gift.
Although I wish my wife bought me mine. I bought mine. But you know what I mean? Like to me, the fact that they could have done one or two things in that moment. They could have cowered to the mob and not stood their ground, or they could have said, you know what? We don't think it's sexist and this is why we did it. And that seems a very crazy thing for someone to get mad about. For a husband buying a wife a Peloton. So I like how they stuck to their guns on that. And I think there's time. Don't get me wrong. There's campaigns where you run a campaign and I got that wrong. Maybe an apology is required. Mm-hmm. But if it's just some craziness happening and someone, a small percentage of people get really mad about something, you're not going to make everybody happy in marketing in your business. And frankly, if you're making everybody happy, you're probably mediocre, right?
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. So that was Peloton's big hit, right? Mm-hmm. The 2020 climb. Then now let's get into the downfall. So since 2020, Peloton has taken huge hits. One of the hits was they've laid off 5,000 employees. They lost their CEO and they lost 4 of their executives in the top office. All left due to the big loss that they took in sales. I think sales dropped like 36% off of 2020 into 2020, half of 2020 to 2021 mid-year. So that's a big loss. But I think their biggest loss was, and you can speak to this better than I can, is they overinvested into the company. And it pinpoints it in the article that I was reading. They overinvested. Their warehouses was filled with machinery and stuff that they still haven't sold, or they're just sitting there right now still probably. So how important is for these businesses before they go in and it's like they have a good year, before they go in and they grab all their cash, they're like, oh, I'm going to throw it in there and I'm going to get all this stuff. What would you say to a business owner on that?
So inventory management's a huge piece. It's why I love digital products.
Coming from a digital guy.
But, so I'm not an expert in product inventory management, but what I do know is it's very important to look at things. And this comes back to my experience back in 2007, 2008, when I was in the mortgage space thinking I was amazing, right? And what I was doing, but I was a product of the environment. So I think a lot of times we can start drinking our own Kool-Aid, right? And start believing that the success is going to continue at all times, that we it's so busy on the build that we forget to look up at the landscape of what's happening and is it changing? And 2020 is kind of a unique scenario because I don't know that anybody would have ever predicted any of that, how things panned out in turned out with how companies took off. Some companies didn't. The amount of money that's being spent, the amount how the real estate market, like, it's very tough, right? So it's almost an anomaly in regards to what happened with these companies. But if you're getting into it thinking your growth's going to continue like that, sometimes you kind of drink your own Kool-Aid and you think it's because of you and what you're doing. And you stop to not look at what's going on in the future and kind of, not that you can predict the future, but you can look at some markers and see, hey, this is going to slow up at some point. How do we project based on the decline that we will see, right? As opposed to if you have insane growth due to an anomaly in the marketplace, chances are of that insane growth continuing year over year is very slim. So if you build your projections based on that anomaly, you're going to be off, right? You got to step back and go, what's really going on here, and look at the landscape. If there's any kind of, insight to take from that, that's what I'd say it would be.
Yeah, and I think I think Peloton now I know there's talks going on where I think they might sell to like Nike or Apple or Amazon. So I know those talks are going on, but the CEO came out I think it was a couple months ago, and he said that he sees a future for Peloton. He sees a future.
I do too. I think they're pretty stable. I mean, they've had challenges, right? But I still think it's a good company, it's a good product, and in the home gym stuff is still big, and more systems are coming out. The question is, are they going to evolve?
Exactly, and that's what I was going to go into is how can they evolve? And I think one of those ways is what you mentioned is partnering with more gyms is one way. Everybody likes going to the gym. I don't like going home and working out because as soon as I get home and then you're going to tell me I'm going to work out, it's going to be like, nah, I'm going to sit on this couch and either if the Heat are playing or if there's a football game, I'm going to sit there and watch it. Or sometimes I just open my computer and keep working. But if I leave here and I go across the street to the gym, I'm definitely going to work out because that's the only thing I can do there. So I feel like that's also the mentality. I feel like in 2020, Peloton was a necessity. And now it's more like a hobby product, I would say.
Hobby or a want?
Or a want,
need.
exactly.
Want, not a need.
Exactly, it's a want. So
yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see it because they came out the treadmill.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next evolution? What's the next product? Maybe because they've got the customer base, they have the users, they've got the subscribers on the app. I got it on mine.
Are you using
my
it?
phone? Yeah, no, because I don't. I'm the same way, man. Like I've always built I build these home gyms all the time. So my wife and I are in the process of designing and building a home right now, and it's funny because all the homes we've had, I've always built a gym in it, and then I go to the gym, but I have like 3 gym memberships. So I go to the gym because what I've learned over the years for me is it's convenience. I have to get to convenience, and I don't really enjoy working out at home. Matter of fact, we got stuff at the home now, but if I'm working out near my house, I'm going across to the park and working out there. So anyways, there's going to be no home gym in my future home. It's going to be a wellness center, which is what my wife loves. So with the sauna, the red light,
And this is the guy that has a Gold's Gym, moved to San Diego, still has the Gold's Gym, came back, worked at another gym, and now is finally going back to Gold after, what is it, 3 years, 2 years?
Oh, man, 7. Yeah, it's been a long time.
So he's been playing Golds for 7 years just to...
No. I stopped paying when I moved.
Oh, okay.
But it was like $300 for a 3-year membership.
Which is
I was like,
that's not bad.
No,
that's actually a great deal.
At that point, and I don't get auto billed.
That's a great deal. But so Nate, what do you think? You think Peloton is gonna they're gonna find a way out of this mingle they're in and go back up, or you think they got to really figure it out to be able to do this?
Hey man, they stuck to their guns in that marketing campaign. I think they became a blue chip. I don't think they'll be a bust. I think they're around, man. I think they're a staple. I think they've created a good brand, a good quality, a good name, and the question is, will they evolve?
Yeah, I'm in the middle right now because it just becomes this: how are they going to evolve? If they evolve, they're a blue chip, right? If they keep up, but if not, I feel like if they try to stick with this just the tread and the subscription based model and the bicycles, I think they're going to be a bust, or they're going to get bought out by someone.
Yeah. Question is who?
Yeah, there's 3 big dogs that apparently want them, so we'll see.
All right. Let us know. What do you think? Put in the comments. What do you think? Do you think that the Peloton is a fad after 13 years?
Yeah.
Or 11 years? Or are they going to be one of those companies that in 10 years there's a whole, case study done on them, how they grew, and grew and declined and disappeared, right?
Yep, and make sure if you want us to review your company here on the podcast, Marketing Strategy Business, all you have to do is either you comment below, you can DM us at either our personal, or you can go into on Uncommon Advice on Instagram, shoot us a DM there, and we'll get in contact with you guys.
Might have to take the uncommon advice.